Hello, Knockouts. Tanya TKO here. And I'm coming in live with a quick message to my followers. Right now, we are broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter Periscope. And there was a thought that kept rotating round and round inside of my mind, and I decided to just come out and make an impromptu live video with you all. Just basically giving you this message about your inner circle of friends, and cleaning your inner circle of friends slash your inner circle of influence, right? Because they say that you become like the five closest people to you. And when you look inside of your circle, what do those people look like? How does that fare or pan out for what it is that you have in store or in thought for your life? So for those of you who know me, I am Tanya TKO. I am a relationship expert. Most people think that a relationship expert is somebody who only deals with dating, but I deal with relationships in general, the relationships you have with family, the relationships you have with partners, the relationships you have at work, most importantly, the relationship that you have with yourself. So I am a self-love specialist. Where's my book? You know what? Here it is. It's over here. I wrote the book of affirmation, self-love, which is sold out worldwide, but it will be back in stock on Amazon in, I'd say, about a month. Make sure that you're on the mailing list to get notifications about that. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. I just want to give this message real quick, and then we'll jump out of. I'll take some comments, and then we'll jump out of here. So I am a life coach, and I work with people weekly on issues that are going on with them and the goals that they want to achieve. And as you know, I am constantly reinventing myself. I had TKO Skin, which was a successful skincare company. However, I wanted to be an author and I wanted to make these types of videos, and I closed my business and I went off in search of being an author, but there were things that I needed to do and a person I needed to become in order to be that author. And part of what that was running out of money and living in my car for a year. And it was from that the book of affirmations, that each one of those affirmations was derived from me really having to pull myself out of this situation. So for many of us out there, we have circles of influence, circles of friends that just are not equipped to go with us to the next level. And I always see people talking about cutting off their friends and getting rid of all of these people, but I want to implore you to take a different standpoint. I want you to think of people and how it is that they naturally show up in your life. Now listen, if you have a toxic person in your realm, whether they're family or whomever, limit your contact with toxicity. Yes, of course. Take people who are lower vibrational, who are interested in drama, and people who have not done the self-work, take those out of your circle. Yes. However, let's say you have a friend who likes to drink and likes to party. Should you cut this person off if now you're a business person and your focus is elsewhere? Or if now you become a mother and your focus is elsewhere? I personally feel that relationships naturally resolve when people shift, their energy shifts, and their focus also shifts. But I don't believe in just cutting people off for who it is that they are naturally. What a lot of us end up doing is we end up isolating ourselves. So I say, respect where a person is at. If they're not toxic and they just happen to have a different focus, then if you have space inside of your world to keep that on the periphery, by all means, keep it on the periphery. If you look around in your inner circle and you see that, let's say you want to start a business and you look around in your inner circle and you see that there are no business people in your inner circle, do you cut off the people who have bad credit issues and don't have creativity and all this other stuff? I say, just create a shift. Go out and find more of the people that you want in your inner circle. We have to have, in my opinion, a variety of different people, people that you can travel with, people that you can go out and party with, people that you can have play dates with if you have children, people that you can go camping with, people that you can travel to seminars or workshops or expos with. So rather than cutting people off, respect where people are. Respect where it is that they are in the journey right now. So if there's a person whose mind just hasn't really fast forwarded to where it is that your mind has evolved, that's fine. We all get to where it is that we need to be at different stages. Some of us never at all. Do you have respect for the person? Does the person bring value into your life in some way? Or are they just taking? Are they sucking and siphoning value out of the relationship and not bringing value in? That's my question. And some of you can answer that right now in the comments. We are live right now by just thinking about your inner circle right now. So as you all know, I am working on creating a game. The game is called Are You the One for Me? And it seems like a game, but it's really a tool for people who are newly dating to ask pertinent questions that are integral to having a seamless long-term relationship going forward, because sometimes we get so caught up in the feeling, right? We get so caught up in being with another person. We get so caught up in those good dopamine feelings that are just the secretions that are coming all through our bodies. And we don't take the time to ask the necessary questions. So this game is a tool that you will use, and it has a secret decoder. So it seems like a game, but the person who bought the game gets the decoder, and they get to look on the back of the card so that you can get the tips and the cues and the clues for what it is that you need to look for in the person's answer to be able to weed out whether or not this is a good match for you in terms of values and goals and direction. Okay? So as you know, I'm working on this new game. This is something that just doesn't exist. Remember, I told you I wanted to be an author. But in my inner circle, I didn't have authors in my inner circle before I wrote that book, right? And what I did have was I had people around me who were like, oh, this can't be done. Oh, are you sure people really need this? Oh, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you know, I'm constantly reading. When you have an idea, keep it to yourself. Don't tell anybody. Safeguard it, right? I'd like for you to think about it in a different way. I'd like for you to be selective with who it is that you share your idea with. Like, test the waters and see. Also look in other people's lives and see how it is that they're living their life. Have they created anything? Because what ends up happening is we end up taking advice and criticisms and forewarnings from people themselves who have not created. So you'll see the difference when you start inviting people into your life who have done different things and you run an idea past them. Like, I have friends who don't believe in credit. They're like, oh, credit is the devil, credit is evil, I'll never have credit. And then I have other friends who are business owners who manage and leverage their debt. Now, when I look at a person's life, and so like some of the people in my life who don't have credit, there are other things that they have in their life that they have wisdom about, right? So hear me out. There are other things in their life that they have wisdom about. However, in this particular realm and instance, I'm not going to take advice. I'm not going to take credit or money advice from a person who is in their mode of thinking, happy with their mode of thinking, not able to see outside of their mode of thinking. Sometimes people say, oh, would you take financial advice from a person who is broke? Now, that really depends. Is this person who is giving financial advice, is it forewarning advice? Is it foreboding advice? Is it advice that's like, listen, this is where I was. These are the things that I did. Do not make these same mistakes. Or is there advice like, look at me, this is what I did, my brokenness, who needs money? Money is the devil. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're going to have to use your own discernment about whether or not you're taking advice from a person who is attempting to steer you away from some of the mistakes that they made, or are they reveling in where it is that they are? They're happy there, and they're like, well, you know, you could be like me. Not me. I'm happy with me. Right? So let's continue forward. Let's continue forward. So I'm creating this new game, and this is an endeavor that is larger than any endeavor that I've taken on before in the past. I also need to we're working on publishing new copies of the book, and because the last set ran out in a year, we're thinking of doubling our production, which is going to require hiring people to help me put the barcodes on for Amazon, as well as getting the boxes and the methods to get these shipped out worldwide. So this is an endeavor larger than any endeavor I've taken on. So now is the time for me to start looking in my inner circle and seeing who's an entrepreneur, who has done something like this. Because, and I listen, I have to be honest with you, right? Even in my own inner circle, not everybody, when I was doing my book, not everybody saw the vision of the book. Some people were like, what is this? Who's going to want this? Oh, look at these cartoons. Who's going to want? And the book is beautiful. I'll show you. The book is beautiful, right? But when some people saw the images in the book, they were like, oh, these. So let me see if I go from the back, because some of the pages, so you see they have a lot of illustrations. And I personally feel that the illustrations are beautiful. When I did this book, I was guided by spirit. When they say, when you're inspired, you are in spirit. You are in a state of manifesting something greater than you when you're inspired. So I was inspired for that book. But everybody didn't see the vision for the book. Some people were like, oh, these cartoons look juvenile. This looks childish. No one. But this person gave me that perspective from what it is that they truly felt on the inside. They felt that they were helping me. They felt that they were trying to stop me from being disappointed, from failing, right? And did I cut this person out of my life? I did not. Did I cut those people who said these things about my book out of my life? I did not. What I did was I shifted. I shifted to other people who had created, because what ends up happening is creation is scary. It's difficult. For any woman who has given birth, and you understand that you have something growing inside of you. And whether you do anything or not, that life is still growing. When it comes to inspiration, there's a theory that says that when you have an idea, that idea is given to you, but if you don't give birth to that idea, that idea will jump into somebody else's head, because the idea needs to be born. So when you are inspired and you have this thing inside of you that is growing and wants to be born, and it's up to you to give birth to it, right? You've got to protect your idea. You have to realize that your idea is in the fetal stage, and that there are things that can happen that can abort your idea. So do you go to people who have never birthed an idea, asking them for their insight on birthing an idea? Or do you go to people who have birthed ideas? Like when it's time for you to look for a doula, you're going to find a doula who has assisted other people with giving birth. Perhaps even doulas who have given birth themselves, because they understand what the journey is like. So the whole purpose of this video is to let you know that I go through it too. However, I want you to look at it in a different way. Instead of just cutting people off, love them where they're at, create the shift, invite new people into your life, and do different things with different people. The same person that you go sipping margaritas with down in Cabo is not, or may not be, the same person that gives you guidance on where to find the killer business suit, or how to rock a killer interview, or how to create a presentation. I remember when I was living in my car and I wanted to get this book done. I was going around giving presentations to different companies. And when I was giving the presentation, I actually, and some of us, listen, we have resources in our lives. You know, the 6 degrees of separation, we have resources that can connect us to resource, but we never tap into those. So when it's time for you to do something that you have never done before, start asking people, do you know a person who has done XYZ? And let people guide you to other people. And you will see that different people will come into your life when you are inspired, spirit will help you get it done. So it's like all you have to do is be the vessel, like a mother getting ready to give birth. No matter what it is that you do, this idea will continue to grow. And if it is meant to be, the Most High, the universe, God, however you want to think about it, is going to assist you in getting that birth, getting it done, getting it out into the world. And you just have to just kind of take yourself out of it and say, listen, I feel inspired. If this is true inspiration, if I am truly in spirit right now, assist me in getting your vision out here, whether it's your higher self or your guides and guardian angels or connection to a different spirit realm, whatever it is that you believe in and connect to, you ask for assistance and you say, you know what, if this is meant to be, let it be done. It is done. And you see the vision of your finished work and you allow people to come into your life that will assist you in that. Now, I will say this, right? I will say this. Some of the people who had, downtrodden things to say about my books and some of my modes of creation, etc., back in the days, right? Did I cut those people off? No, I didn't cut them off. However, when my focus shifted and my energy shifted, some of the vines, it's like the vine to a fruit, it begins to shrivel. If that fruit is not getting water, that fruit will begin to shrivel. And some of those relationships naturally shriveled and fell off on their own. Every once in a while, we'll touch base just to see how the other is doing, but they're not in my immediate circle of influence. That shifted. When my energy shifted, those relationships naturally shifted away. So stop trying to make relationships things that they are not. See a relationship for what it is, love it for where it's at, and nurture unions and relationships in your life that are feeding where it is that you want to go, who it is that you want to be, who it is that you are right now. Don't continue the relationships that are feeding who it is that you used to be and no longer wish to be. You just shift away from those, shift away. So I'm going to read a few comments and then we're going to jump out of here so you can start typing your comments below. I'm going to see your comments now. Randy is saying, it's always good to be a supporter to others' ideas than to be a killer of someone's future. You know what? That's really important. And I'm so glad that you said that. I am the only entrepreneur in my family. Right? I've been entrepreneurial all of my life. And when I was growing up, there were family members of mine who attempted to shift me away from being an entrepreneur because they tried and they fell flat. And so they were attempting to warn me, but they did it. All of us are doing the very best that we can. And they felt that they were doing, because you know what, if a person lives their life in such a way, they're living their life that way because that's their life. They're okay with their life, right? And some of them, they feel that their lives are good. And they're like, well, you know what? Let me help this person to not go down some of the paths of disappointment. It's not going to work out anyway. It's like, so people who attempt to quote unquote kill your future or something like that. Like I said, if the person is not toxic, if the person is toxic, get rid of them. Yes. But there are people who are doing the very best that they can, and they are attempting to help you in the ways that they know how as best that they can. And so some people think that saying certain things is going to be what's most beneficial to you. Like, oh, are you sure about that? Oh, this is man. You know what I mean? And it's up to you to have people in your life who have the types of life that you may want to live and then go towards those people, right? And Elle is saying, sometimes we are the people that need to be cut off. I know I've been that person. Well, as long as you are self-aware, you know what I'm saying? As long as you are self-aware. Sierra is saying, but it's like, what do you talk about with this person? Because you aren't on the same level anymore. Listen. When I was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, in 2016, and I met some people. I met some people at a whatchamacallit. What do you call those things? A resort, right? And they invited me onto. I'd never been to a resort before, right? Because I always do my backpacking, so I'd never been to a resort. But when I went to this resort, there was unlimited food. Oh my god, the amount of food that was laid out every day was grotesque. It was so much, and I ended up going in stuffing myself because I'm like, oh my god, all of this food is going to go to waste, right? And it was a great experience. They were out on the beach. They were lesbians, so they were out on the beach with each other, and they actually brought to my attention that they have to pretend to be friends and that they were on a romantic vacation and they could not be romantic with one another. They couldn't walk down the streets holding hands or kissing because they didn't know whether or not other people would be violent towards them or not approving and all this other stuff. And I never considered what it would be like to be on a romantic vacation with a person and have to pretend to be just friends. And I really got a deeper perspective for the struggle that some people have that you may never know anything about. So yeah, when you say you're not on the same level anymore, it kind of makes it seem like one level is above another. And that's a very male, very masculine way of thinking about things. Just realize that different people are in different places, and that's okay. So these people that I met at the resort, and am I going to talk to these people about my business and investing and all this other stuff? Not necessarily. I don't know what their business stuff was like. I tried to keep in touch with them after the fact, but they didn't really follow up. But I'm like, that's okay. Because, I guess there's a dynamic when people are lesbians and then, there's this woman and I'm not, so you know what I'm saying? So they didn't keep in touch and I'm not offended. I'm not offended because, you know, last thing I want is any phone calls talking about, you've been talking to my wife. I'm like, no, honey, ain't like that. You know what I mean? That's the last thing I want. But what I'm saying is different people are in different places. Enjoy people for who and what it is that they are in the space for what it is. You never know what you may learn. Just because you're in a different place doesn't mean that you can't learn different things from different people or enjoy vapid nights out. You know what I mean? Like when I was in Hollywood, right? And this was years ago when I was in Hollywood and I was being invited to parties in the hills. So Los Angeles looks very quiet, but the stuff is happening in little pockets all over the place. I was being invited to people's homes that you see on TV. Now, the person who was inviting me and was getting me into all of these VIP areas, did she and I have earth-shattering conversations about the Pythagorean theorem? See, I don't even know how to say it. The Pythagoras theory or Pythagorean theorem. You all out there, you know what it is, right? No, we didn't talk about hypotenuses and stuff like that. We didn't talk about equations. We talked about where you're going to get this dress or this push-up bra or this lip gloss from, what time am I being picked up, and having a good time. And that was that. And that was in that moment. There's 24 hours in a day, 30 to 31 days in a month. Well, 28 to 31 days in a month. And there's 12 months in a year. There's 365 days in a year. There's plenty of time to do lots of different things. I think what a lot of us do is we limit our focus. We limit who it is that we are by thinking that people don't have value because we're shifting into a different direction. But everyone has value. I talk to all different types of people from all different walks of life. All different. When I tell you, I spent part of an afternoon in a coffee shop talking to a person who had a shopping cart outside of the coffee shop. And he told me about his modeling days. And I don't know how many of you are in the Tarzana area and you remember the guy. He was so handsome and he was clean shaven to be a homeless person, but he was truly, truly homeless. He had mental health issues. And he's a white guy with this sandy beach bum kind of hair, and he pushed a shopping cart in the Tarzana area, and there was a Starbucks right there on Ventura, I believe it's called. And we sat down and we talked. Don't discount a human being's pertinence because they're in a different space in life. Don't think of it as a level. I'm on this level, you're on that level. Just think of it as a different space. We're all on equal plane, but we're in different spaces, and that's okay. And this guy, his name was like Claudius or something like that. So for those of you who are in LA and Tarzana, I'm sure you've seen him walking around. His name starts with a C, Claudius, Claudio, something like that. And he had a band in the 80s. And he had some mental health challenges that which led him to living on the street. And the crazy part is I actually looked up his band, and his band has music on YouTube. But, it's like, and look, mental health. This is why it's important to stay on top of your mental health. And even after you start feeling better, continue to do the things. Don't be like, oh, I got it under control now. Let me stop doing what it is that I was doing. No, continue to do the things that you were doing. It's like using your oxygen tank underwater. Don't use your oxygen tank, go underwater and say, oh, I'm fine now, and then take the oxygen tank off and then stay down there and drown. It's okay if you need oxygen and other people need less or more oxygen. Just worry about your own individual journey and do what you need to do for you. And if medication is what you need, that's fine. Dolphins don't need oxygen tanks underwater, and that's fine, but you do. So do what you need to do for you. Let's go on to the next comment. Coco says, I'm in love with you. Okay, sweetie, we're in love with you too. We're in love with you too. Miss Ladybug is saying she's right. You can learn from everyone's walk of life. It's not just people who mean you no good you need to let go of. Oh, it's just the people who mean you no good you need to let go of. Detrell is saying, Gail, I was kind of trolling last few comments when I kept saying bye. Hope I didn't interrupt anything, and I'm going to leave for real. God, but what do you, come on. We're all adults here. My average viewer is 30. Stop this. Stop this. Okay. Let's see. And self-care is saying, talk to everyone. There's a message to grasp. I don't say talk to everyone, but if your spirit moves you to, because listen, hey, there's only 24 hours in a day. Can't talk to everybody. Reef is saying, thank you. You are one of the only people I heard who sees value in everybody. Well, every human being has value. Okay. Self-care is saying, I learned this with my family. So many things I appreciate individually about each one of my siblings. Yeah, I mean, that can be very tough, especially with people who are in immediate family that you just don't see eye to eye with. You just have to really love them where they're at and continue to do what it is that you need to do for you in the ways you need to do it. And Randy is saying, sometimes it's good to have connections with persons that is less educated of uplifting than you are. You learn from everyone. Okay, so everybody, so we're feeling the same. So that means there's nothing to argue about over here then. I see people are spelling my name Tanya, and that's not how it's spelled. Okay, and Gypsy is saying Pythagorean theorem. See, I knew it had an M on the back of theorem. Thank you. Oh, goodness, and Mind and Matter saying Pythagoras. Oh, Lord, now we're getting confused up in here. Tanya saying, my daughter wants to be an entrepreneur. She had to cut off some of her friends. They just didn't see her endeavors in working for herself. Now, you know what? I don't agree with cutting people off merely because they have a different vision for their own lives. I just think we need to shift and just listen, realize the value in this area. And when you want to come over to this area, you go to that area. And then also, you know what? Sometimes we need to focus. I just don't think that cutting people off, like getting rid of them altogether, shifting and spending less time. Yes. But being like, I just personally feel that you need to fill up your time with people who are on the same path as you. And every once in a while, let's say you want to be ratchet or whatever, you can go back to your ratchet friends and be ratchet and have a ratchet good time, drinking your peach schnapps. That's such a funny word. Your peach schnapps, drink your peach schnapps and, have a good time. Mind and Matter saying, it's important to know the motivation of the friendship. I don't even think it's important to try to figure out motivations of friendship. I just think it's just accept it for what it is I think sometimes we end up thinking so deeply about what a thing could be that we don't really look at what a thing is. Look at what it is. At the end of the day, this is what it is, you know? And this is what it is. Accept it for what it is, not for what you've pontificated that it could be or whatever. Just see it for what it is. As simple as that. Mind and Matter saying people are very quick to discard others when they feel that you are of no use. Funny thing is that the same ones usually come back when they need something again. Oh, child, listen, you just said a word right there. And Courtney is saying, I agree. It's important to have a mix of friends for balance, but those friends cannot include people who say they support, not necessarily financial you, but their actions do not align with their words. It can be a hard truth when you find out that those who are closest to you actually want to see you fail. You know what? Listen, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Let me keep the comment up for a little while. Let's keep it real. We are all at a different space. We're all at a different space. And remember, there was a person earlier who said sometimes she said about herself that she was the person that needed to be cut off at times. Now, I'm sure we all know what it's like to see somebody. We all started at a similar level, or we started above, or whatever. And that person is now far more advanced. They're doing things that we wish that we could do, or living in a way that we wish that we could live, or have a type of job, or making a type of money, or traveling, or have kids, or whatever, or don't have kids, or whatever it is that this person is experiencing that we wish that we could, right? I think it's important to have conversations with people, have open, honest conversations, and say, you know what? I notice XYZ, right? Be truthful about what it is that you notice, if it's something that you notice. But then realize, you know what? This is that person's level of internal development. Because I remember, because you all know, listen, I'll talk about myself for a second. I've been on YouTube for 13 years. I've been making videos for 13 years. I've grown up on YouTube, right? And I've seen other people like Issa Rae, who she and I came on around the same time, and Francesca Ramsey, who now has the MTV Decoded show, and other people who have come along the way who have crossed over from YouTube onto mainstream TV. And so there were times that I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I was caught up in different types of feelings and emotions about, comparing myself to other people. And that's where I was at that time, right? And I needed to check myself, I needed to be okay with where it is that I was. And I think that when you can accept where it is that you are, you can accept other people and where it is that they are. So there are people who are now seeing me shift and now seeing me featured on TV. And there's some magazines that are coming out that are going to be featuring me. And there are going to be some people who are going to be like, oh, what about this, that, and the other? I encourage you to have open, honest conversations with people. It's when people are able to really let this stuff off of their chest that they're able to release it. Part of the issue is that there are too many of us that hold it inside. I have a colleague on Facebook who's always putting up jogging, his jogging stats and all that. And when I would see his images, I would feel twangs of jealousy. And I had a conversation with him about my own jealous feelings, right? And after I got it out, I realized ain't nothing stopping my black ass from going out there and jogging. And then after I said it, I was over it. I was over it after I got it out. I said what I needed to say and I was done. But what I'm saying is accept where it is that you are, and then you can accept other people for where it is that they are. And, there's nothing wrong with, personally, I don't think that there's anything wrong with feelings of envy or jealousy. I think that when we feel those feelings, it's because if you don't have shame and guilt attached to those feelings, acknowledge those feelings and see what it is what do you need in your life? What is this bringing up for you that you feel is missing or lacking in your life? And what is it that you need to do for you to be okay with where it is that you are? For far too many of us, we feel what we do is we feel only the tip. You remember, put the tip in? Listen, for far too many of us, we feel only the tip of the feeling. And we don't feel the full feeling, but the tip it's still penetrated. You know what I mean? So it's like what we do is we don't allow the full feeling to come in. We don't allow ourselves to be okay with the full feeling of the jealousy, the envy, the anger, the feelings of lack of worth. So we just continue to feel the tip of it continue to poke into us, and we never are able to get it over with because we don't allow ourselves to truly feel it. We just allow ourselves to just keep getting poked by the feeling over and over. And you don't get the release that you need, right? So what I'm saying is allow yourself to feel those feelings and say, it's okay. I'm going to allow myself to give yourself half an hour and set a timer and say, or even 15 minutes, even 5 minutes, and say, you know what? I'm going to allow myself to feel the full breadth of this anger, the full breadth of this envy, the full breadth of this jealousy, the full breadth of this sadness, the full breadth of this mourning, instead of just the tip over and over, keeping you up at night. Just go feel the feeling and get the release that you need from the feeling rather than it poking at you over and over again. That's nasty. That's a nasty analogy, isn't it? It's so gross. Oh, goodness. Piece of candy saying a lot of babies born from just a tip, but imagine having a baby born without the full release of the full experience. I mean, what a travesty. So allow yourself to feel the full experience and get the release that you need from feeling the full experience. Set a timer, feel the feeling fully, all in, roll on the floor, bang on the floor, cry, scream. Let's not run out of your nose for half an hour. And then when you're done, you stop and you move on to something else, but you feel that feeling fully. And after you do that a few times, like allow yourself, even if it comes each day that you need to feel it, continue to give yourself a span of time to feel that full feeling. And then once it's done, that's it. You don't think about it. You don't harp on it. You don't dwell on it. And if the feeling starts poking back in, you say, you know what? I've already given myself the time for today. I'll give myself time tomorrow. And then when that time comes, you give yourself the full ability to feel that feeling. Okay? Okay, let's see. Cindy is saying you must be careful of the company you keep. I think you have to be careful of yourself. Be careful of yourself. You know what I mean? It's like we're so worried about other people. You really need to be focused on yourself, because when your energy shifts, the people around you shift. So if you see that there's a bunch of a certain type of energy in your inner circle, you have to think about yourself and what is it about you that's attracting that into your life? What is it that they're seeing in you that is similar? You know, it's like people who come home and they talk to their significant other about their friends, and they're talking junk about their friends, and they're going on and on about their friends. But look at how you're living your life, talking about these people behind their back, not having open, honest conversations with them, et cetera, et cetera. So if you see a common theme amongst your friends, you have to realize that there's something about you that they recognize in you that they're attracted to. So look at yourself, pay attention to yourself, right? Okay, I'm gonna put up Alonda, and we've been on for 38 minutes. We're gonna give it 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna jump out of here. Alonda says you have to feel being numb is not healthy. No, it's not. When you numb yourself to pain, you also numb yourself to pleasure, and life begins to get more and more insipid. And when life becomes insipid, it really just at that point doesn't really have any point. So feel your feelings. Yes, feel your feelings. Okay. Okay. So Wanda is saying, just try to imagine how the persona would comport of those conceived from just the tip premature versus a human conceived via robust release. Interesting contrast. I can only imagine. Can you imagine going full term with a child and you never felt that release? But look, 70% of women have never had an orgasm, yet there are a lot of children born. So it's not just that. And Susan is saying, I don't agree with ever being okay or accepting being jealous. Okay, well, that means that, look, if you feel that you know better and you feel that whatever it is that you're doing is working for you and there are no lessons here for you, by all means, you can go and be in that. I'm telling you, as a professional, that every single emotion that you have is an okay emotion to feel. It's okay. You're human. If you were meant to feel only godly or godlike emotions, you would have stayed in spirit. There was no reason for you to incarnate. You're a human being, and this is a part of the human experience. Take the judgment away from any emotion. It's that judgment that makes the tip go in over and over and over again, because if you're feeling a feeling and you don't allow yourself to feel that feeling, you just allow just the tip of it to just keep poking through you, and it never gets a chance to go away. I am saying that there's no problem, there's no shame, there's no judgment on any emotion that you have whatsoever, no matter what the emotion is. Give yourself the space without judgment, because what is the alternative? The alternative is having judgment. Like you say, I don't agree with capital ever being okay or accepting being jealous. Think about that sentence. We could break that sentence down. I don't agree with ever, meaning at no time whatsoever, being okay or accepting. So meaning you're not supposed to be okay and you're not supposed to accept a natural human emotion. What is the alternative? The alternative is strife. The alternative is internal friction. The alternative is discord. The alternative is to continue to let something poke and nag at you and pretend that it's not there. When you numb yourself to pain, you numb yourself to pleasure. So look, by all means, Susan, if that's how you feel and you want to feel that and you know best, by all means, go off in your thought and have your feeling about not wanting to feel certain feelings. That by all means, it's your choice. And I respect your choice to feel that way. Listen, I'm here giving words of wisdom to people who want them. If you don't want it, if it doesn't resonate with you, throw it away. There are people who my message is going to resonate with, and it's going to be life-changing for them. And that's the targeted audience right there. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. And so Kendrick is saying, wounds take time to heal, so do emotions. Cry and carry on. Absolutely. Take your time. Wanda is saying repression is depression. Okay. And so let's see. Some of you are talking about some other stuff. And so self-care is saying, right, I see this all the time. Unexpressed emotions hiding in the body. Doing messages has shown me more about the body. Oh, doing massages. Okay. Yeah. So this is what ends up happening. You end up getting dis-ease. So it's like you start feeling, oh, this feeling is not right to feel. And then the next thing you know, you got tumors in the body, you got cysts, you got pains, all types of constrictions, you got things bursting, leaking, and stopped up. It's as simple as that. So Nane is saying, or Nain, I had to learn this when my aunt passed. I didn't allow myself to grieve, and denying myself of that made me sick or sink. Once I let myself cry and weep and bawl, I felt the lift come off my shoulders. Okay, absolutely. So let's take a survey. Let's take a survey. If you feel that it is okay to feel all of your emotions, even if you give yourself just a span of time to say, I'm going to be okay with feeling this emotion, set a timer, put up a number 1. If you feel that there's certain emotions that you should never feel, that you should never allow yourself to feel, put up the number 2 and write down the emotion that you feel that you should never feel. And then we'll talk about that. Okay? And L is saying repressed emotions can cause disease. The body keeps the score. Listen. Okay, so we have ones coming up. Okay. All right. So I don't see any 2s, which is interesting. And Virginia is her first time catching me live. That's wonderful. Weed a lot of negative people out of her life. Okay, well, you do that. And create your shifts. Okay. So Christopher has not followed instructions. He's put up a number 2 and said, I feel wonderful. The instructions are put up a number 2 and put up the emotion that you feel that you should never feel. So do that again. Okay, come back and do that again. I need people to follow instructions. Okay, those are the instructions. So thought or VR is saying despair is something that you should never feel. And you know what? Listen, especially during this pandemic, I'm sure there are many of us out there who have felt despair. But the people who have been able to keep their bodies disease-free, to keep their bodies healthy, and to keep moving forward are the ones who have said, you know what, I'm going to feel this feeling of despair. I'm going to give myself the time to cry, to feel hopeless, all of that. And then I'm going to pick up and continue on. I think those are the people who have been able to really kind of continue to navigate. So thank you for following the instructions and putting that through. And Falila is put up a number 2, but she didn't put down the emotion. So I need you all to here. So we're going to get a person who is going to be blocked for asking me to say his name, and he knows that his name is vulgar. Now, because this is not the first time you've been on my page for quite some time, but now until infinity, you will never be able to comment on my page again. It's as simple as that. You know, look, when it comes to toxicity, I don't keep it near me. If we have different vibrations, that's one thing. But if your vibration is toxic and you want to play games and be foolish, you cannot stay near me. Being near me is a gift. It's as simple as that. JW is saying crying is cleansing for the soul. Okay. So let's see. So Nicole is saying jealousy. And what's the problem with feeling jealousy? I think jealousy gives us the opportunity to feel the feeling of wanting a thing that we don't have. What is your definition of jealousy? From what I can never tell the difference between jealousy and envy. So I kind of use them both at the same time. When you're feeling jealous, you're feeling a feeling of wanting something that you don't have, right? What's the problem with acknowledging to yourself, this is a thing that I want that I don't have, rather than just letting the tip of it go in over and over, poking you, rather than being comfortable and being in your feeling and saying, you know what? So give me an example. Give me an example of something that you would feel jealous about, Nicole. Write that. We're waiting. We're waiting. And PG is saying that it is never okay to feel suicidal. Suicidal is not an emotion. Suicidal is an ideation that precedes self-harm, right? However, if a person is feeling the feelings that, and you see, there are a lot of things that come up before we get to suicide. A lot of things that we deny ourselves from feeling, and we stop ourselves from getting the help and assistance that we need when those other feelings come up. And it is okay to acknowledge when you feel suicidal. There are helplines. And if there's anybody out there who is watching this and you are in a state of feeling like you want to harm yourself or anybody else, reach out. There's the suicide prevention hotline that is available. All you have to, and they have a chat. If you don't want to talk to someone on the phone, they have the ability to chat. All you have to do is just type in suicide prevention, and they will work with you, and they will listen to what it is that you have to say, and they will find you resources in your area, support groups, mental health professionals that can assist you in your journey. So there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that you feel a certain way. Take the shame away from feeling anything. Get yourself, get yourself the help that you need, okay? When you're feeling those feelings, okay? So Kiana is saying envy is a feeling like wanting to be the person you're jealous of. Okay. Nicole is saying jealous of someone giving an opportunity over me or being chosen over me. All right. What is the problem? Listen, if you're in a situation where there is someone that you felt was chosen over you, given an opportunity over you, right? What's the problem with feeling that feeling of wishing that you were chosen for a particular opportunity? It's okay to feel that feeling. And if you're in a position where you are constantly being passed over for opportunity, this is something that you need to pay attention to. If you are constantly not being chosen and you're feeling these feelings over and over, because we can get addicted to our emotions, right? What is the problem with acknowledging, listen, this is the way that I feel, and really assessing? So you could be in a long-term relationship with a man who is constantly choosing other people to get engaged to. It's okay to feel those feelings of jealousy and realizing that maybe you're not in a healthy union. It's okay to be at a job and realize, and other people are getting opportunities and promotions and you're not getting them. It's okay to feel those feelings and assess, is this job, is this company really the right one for me? Am I the right one? Are there things that I need to do to be able to be available for those opportunities? Is there more education that I need to get? Is there more refinement that I need to have? Do I need to exercise and work out or eat better, or whatever the case may be? I don't know what the opportunity is. But what I'm saying is, when you allow yourself to feel these feelings, you give yourself the opportunity to self-assess, to look within yourself and see if there are things that you need to shift, to assess your situation and where you are, who you're with, who you've aligned with, and see if there are changes that you need to make in whatever, right? So remember, I told you that there were people that I felt envious of because they were able to cross over off of YouTube. And then I realized that there were things that I needed to do differently. There were things that I needed to do differently. Was I willing to do those things? Was I willing to create or pay editors to create certain types of videos and edit my videos in such a way? Was I willing to do that? And I think it's important for us to see that sometimes what it is that we're envious of, we're not willing to do the things that it takes to position ourselves to get what it is that we feel that we're envious of. So are we really envious? It could be a different feeling that you're feeling. And if you're okay, like I realized, listen, I don't do comedy. My videos are not, I don't do videos that are comedy. And I don't make videos for particular audiences, right? So I remember, because Francesca and I, the Francesca Ramsey, who does the Decoded, she and I, we came on YouTube at the same time. We traveled to California once for this for a YouTube event, and we used to talk on the phone and stuff way back in the days, right? And I remember one of the things that she felt uncomfortable with was having conversations about race back in the days. And she kind of got propelled by her videos, White Girls Say Something. One of her videos went viral, and she kind of got propelled into an arena to broaden out something that she said to me, or that I remember hearing her say. Maybe I remember wrong or whatnot, I don't know, but that's not the point of the story. Something that she felt, a realm that she felt uncomfortable in. So it's like, yeah, you could sit there and you can feel jealous or envious, but everybody's path is different. And what's wrong with saying, you know what? Let me just acknowledge that this person has something that I want. What is it that I can do to either get what it is that I want or be okay with not having that? And I think that when we allow ourselves to feel a feeling, then it becomes okay. It takes all of the energy out of it. It takes all of the air, like blowing up a balloon with a hole in it, blowing up a balloon and then putting a little hole in it and allowing all of that to just release. It doesn't pop one day. The air just, the energy just deflates out of it. Okay. And so Wendy is saying, remember how you were conceived. This isn't my opinion, science class. Okay, we're talking about something else. All right. Envy contains first admiration, but embedded is the belief that she's better than me. I can't have that. Also embedded is the belief in the validity to compare yourself to another, that there isn't room for people at different levels, stages, and places. If you have a master's and someone has a doctorate, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have a PhD. To envy the PhD means you think it's superior and you should be at that level. There is room for all of us where we are. This belief starts to dissolve envy. You know what? Thank you, my dear. Thank you, Pamela. Exactly. It's like you can sit there and you can be envious of another person. But what is it? What does your envy, what is that saying about your own self-assessment? Are there things that you can do? Are there things that you're not willing to do? There's some things I'm not willing to do. I'm not willing to make comedy skits. So while I was envious while I had envy or jealousy towards Issa Rae, that's not my shtick. That wasn't what I wanted to do. That's not my passion. And so while I felt those feelings, I can acknowledge, no, I'm not willing to do that. And that lets the air out of it. And I feel proud. And now I went from feeling envious of Issa Rae to being proud and happy and joyous and congratulatory. But if I had not allowed myself to feel that feeling and assess myself, I would still be feeling these feelings like, oh, when she got the name, no, it's not. You're on HBO. Ah! You know what I mean? And rather than feeling that, now I feel happy for her. I feel ecstatic for her. I'm proud of her. And I'm like, yeah, one of my sisters crossed over. I'm rooting for everybody Black. So yeah, so I was able. So the lovely is saying, you're saying it's okay to have feelings of envy. I am saying that it's okay to allow yourself to feel a feeling and assess that feeling. To just sit there stewing in it over and up. No, I don't think that it's healthy to maintain a vibration that is not in your highest good. However, I feel that it's okay to give yourself the space, set a timer. And if you need to rewatch this broadcast, oh wow, we've gone 57 minutes, so we're not going more than an hour. I wasn't expecting it to be this long. Oh. The comments are going so quickly. I'm trying to block some people. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. I don't know what we're talking about now. Okay. All right, so here we go. Katie is saying, I lost a friend because of her jealousy or envy of me. She said I only have one flaw. So not only did she stop being my friend, but she started treating me so badly. And I'm like, girl, I have so many flaws. All right. Listen. See, this is a classic case of a person who was allowing themselves to be poked over and over and over by a feeling that they didn't really fully allow themselves to feel. Feel the feeling, acknowledge it, and see and do your own self-assessment. The feelings that we feel are really our feelings. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Nothing. It has nothing to do with how many flaws you have. It has nothing to do with Issa Rae or anybody on YouTube. It has nothing to do with them. It's personal. So is a person willing to feel their feeling and come to peace and come to terms with their own feelings, self-assess and do what it is that they need to do? If that person is not, then that's really on them. So listen, we have gone almost an hour. Oh, so listen, I block anybody that I see that is advertising. So you just have to let me know the names if I don't see them when they come up. So listen, we're getting out of here. Lovely is saying, I haven't felt envious in a while, just admiration, because the person is a position where I will one day be. I will wait my turn. Well, you know what? And I think that behind jealousy is admiration. And I feel like when you take the air out of it, it becomes admiration, which is a much higher vibrating feeling. I wonder if we have, if there's a feeling that exists here, and then there's like a shadow feeling that exists underneath it, which is equal and opposite. Because on the flip side of envy is admiration. So I wonder if we have like these bizarro world feelings that are like on the flip side of it, that has an equal and opposite energy. And that's one that we can think about, and you can leave your comments below. That'll be the question of the video. Do you think we have shadow emotions that are the polar opposite, the vibrational opposite, so that we can feel this feeling, or we can acknowledge it, let the air out of it, and then once the air is out of it, you're instantly shot up to this feeling on the top? So answer that in the comments below. I am your host, Tanya TKO, and I love you all very, very much. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, what? Love yourself. That's right. And make sure that you're subscribed to my mailing list. Go to TanyaTKO.com, click on subscribe, and make sure that you have your notifications turned on here on Facebook, YouTube. I don't know if you could turn your notifications on Twitter, Periscope, but let me know if you can. And I will see you all later. I'll say goodbye to the first 10 people who bid me adieu. Okay? All right. So Shark is saying she has to rewind. Joseph is saying envy is okay. Where's those goodbyes? There's a little bit of a delay. So I'm going to say goodbye to the first 10 people. Hey, LaRon, loving yourself. You didn't say. That's right. Love yourself. That's right. Okay. So we got the buys coming in. All right. So we have PG Moon is first one to come in with the bidding adieu. Lucky B, Reef. Okay, we have, oh, they're coming by so fast now. My goodness, it's so quick. Oh, goodness. Okay, so we have I Am Rianne, we got Jarvis, we got Kokisha, we have Tanya, Mona, Shark, that's T, Pretty Wings. Let's see, we got Dominique, we got Rose Ann, we got Piece of Candy, Geo, and I will see you all in the next video. Make sure that you're subscribed, and I will see you all later. Peace.